So talking about narcissistic individuals and living with someone who is the whole world, the whole life, the whole everything is about them, is a very draining for the individual who lives with them. It could be a wife or a husband, because this is supposedly evenly distributed. There are women who are narcissistic, there are men who are narcissistic. It's pretty much even.
Right.
And living with someone like that is very difficult because they drain the individual who is trying to have a life, trying to live, trying to be an individual. They drain them of their light because their light has always got to be shining.
Sure.
They have got to be, it's like a 100-watt bulb living with a 25-watt bulb. And it's like their light has got to be shining all the time. It's all about me.
Yeah.
And don't offend me. Don't tell me anything, because I know everything.
Right.
And it's almost like this individual, they're very articulate. They can talk their way out of anything. So the individual living with them all of a sudden says, disappears.
Yeah.
Becomes invisible. It's very sad.
Yeah, if the couple goes out in public, or if they get together with another couple, or they get in a social situation, watch out, because the narcissistic partner is expecting the other partner to be a total support system for them to build them up in front of other people in those social situations.
Definitely.
And if the opposite happens in the mind of the narcissistic individual, it doesn't have to actually happen, just in the mind of the narcissistic individual, then watch out, because you were talking about the light and so forth. So then if the other partner, it gets in the limelight and they start, people are listening to them and listening to their stories and all this sort of thing, you get the same situation with the two cats. And so here's cat number one, Tabasco, the narcissistic cat, sitting there just seething while he's watching everybody give attention to this other person, and he's doesn't even necessarily know why he's seething, but he's going to attack that other cat later on.
Yeah, it's kind of instinctive.
Right.
I think.
So now the
Even
couple,
animals have it.
So now the couple comes home, and the other party is oblivious, just had a great night, it was just really fun and all that, and gets totally attacked by the partner. Who's been seething all night, and then wham, now he or she lets the other partner
Because you
out.
took my limelight away. How
Right.
could you?
But it can't even really be explained at this point, because the narcissistic partner doesn't really understand at a cognitive level exactly what's going on, just feels this intense emotion. And the experience, as neurologists who study the brain, much of this is happening through the amygdala, through the limbic system, through this portion of the brain where all of the emotions are there. And as the scene of the party or the social gathering or whatever is interpreted, as memory was created and so forth, it's that sort of very intense emotional memory.
Right.
Not just the memory of the event and so forth, but it's that deep emotional memory that's registered through the amygdala that now results in a hijack later on, an amygdala hijack or a neural hijack, as explained in books like Joseph Ledoux's The Emotional Brain, and Goleman's Emotional Intelligence books and so forth. This hijack that takes place just happens, and the individual doesn't, and this is where we see abuse, spousal abuse, those kinds of things happen, where it actually could turn into physical violence at that point, because this individual now loses the ability to even be able to handle it. So now we're talking about these extremes. We're talking about extreme narcissism, we're talking about extreme neural hijacks and emotional reactions that could lead to physical violence and so forth. But now let's ratchet that down to, quote, normal people in normal environments. You and me.
Right.
People all over. These things happen in very subtle ways.
Right.
And the only way that these forms of destructive ego manifestations can be changed is through self-awareness, through the ability to, when it's actually happening for the individual who it's happening in. See, it's easy for you to see it happening in me, but if you try to tell me that it's happening, I'll just get defensive. and rationalize my
Close the
behavior
door.
and close the door, put the wall up.
This is all about you. This is your
Right.
problem, not
Now
my
I've got
problem.
to see it. The best you could do is lead me to it in a subtle way that doesn't bring up my defenses.
Right.
But beyond that, there's very little that you can do. I've got to see it. Somehow I've got to see what I'm doing to me. And reminds me of a...
Let me say something
yeah,
here
yeah.
real quick. What's so unfortunate about this is that the love that the narcissistic individual could get is so much greater if they would allow the person to really love them. It's almost like they control the codependent person like a puppet, with their behavior. But if they would just relax and give back, give back to their partner in a real way, in a genuine reciprocal way, where, okay, you can have some of the light. Here's some light for you. Right. Share the love they would get is tremendous. The love they would get would be what they really want. They really want the real love, not the love that people are giving because they're controlled. This is what they don't understand. If they could just relax and let the person's light shine, my God, they would come together in this real connection, rather than this trying to please them, trying to make them look good all the time, trying to obey them, never to say no to them, and all that. I mean, my God, it's so sad. And they're actually giving away the love they could have, and they're clueless. It's incredible.
Yeah, they're squandering the value of the relationship, of the potential of life,
of love,
of all of those things. It's not unlike a drug addict who shoots up in order to get a feeling, and you might say, "Look what you're doing to yourself." The feeling that you want, what you really want, is this sense of home, this that you don't need a drug to get. But because you don't know how to get there, you want something like it, you will accept a counterfeit, and the counterfeit is the only thing that you know how to get, and you know every time you shoot up, you get that counterfeit, and that's the closest thing to it, and you just can't see beyond that, and that's what's happening to this narcissistic individual.
Very same thing is happening. Because they are under this, I guess maybe it starts in childhood, who knows, I mean, I'm really not sure where it starts, but I think that they've been used to being either spoiled or getting all the attention and demanding all the attention, being the center of attention, very spoiled brat-like. And they want, but they don't realize all they're getting is some sort of mechanical obedience from the people around them. They're making everyone jump to attention and do whatever they like and listen to everything they say, and oh yes, you're wonderful, and all that. But what they don't realize is they're not getting the real love from these people. They can't. The people can't love this machine, this dictator. They can't love it because it's almost like they won't. If they don't let the person they're with light shine, and let them be who they are, there's no real marriage. There's no real connection. There's no real sharing. It's all a one-way street, baby, and it's my way. And if you don't go my way, well, sorry, I'm not interested in you. So how can you love that? You can't love that. There's no merging.
Well, when you look at an extreme situation like that, it's much easier to see how the narcissistic individual has an object relationship with people and so forth. The narcissistic person is the subject, and everyone else is the object.
That's right.
But that is what the ego does, and that's the interesting thing about all this discussion, is that as you look at the quote normal people, and we all have ego manifest in us all the time, and we identify with this ego, it is continually trying to turn people into objects in all kinds of ways, making itself the center, building itself up, and using the objects around it as a way of accomplishing that end.
Yes.